Hello everyone, this is Oreo Blaster. Today we are going to be going over a replay that was sent in by one of my friends that I was playing some games with a few days ago, and they wanted me to observe their Tyrael performance and look into it, see how they did, what they could improve on, or just talk it out so they could get a better feel for just get a like second opinion on their play. So yeah, we'll be following the Tyrael player. These are the current teams. It's going to be Tyrael, Karazim, Hanzo, Gul'dan, Artanis versus Falstad, Greymane, Diablo, Chromie, Lily. Um, Blue team, as we see, has 2 damage, 1 support, and 2 bruisers. No main tank, which could be a potential problem. And the red team has a main tank, 3 damage dealers, and a sort of solo support. So already, blue team is going to have a harder time because they don't have the same like hard CC lockdown that red team has. And even though that's mostly just Diablo, the fact that red team has hard CC over blue team, not counting ults because ults are I don't consider ults to be like in the hard CC bundle. So blue team could have a potentially very tough time. Also, they have no way to counteract Chromie's temporal loop if she goes temporal loop, and their team is very vulnerable to that. The only ways they could prevent it is with Karazim's Palm or Sanct, since Karazim doesn't get his cleanse or his cleansing touch until level 16. So I think that blue team is going to have a much harder time going up against red team. Their goal is to just try to not give Chromie a bajillion stacks, and also get turn-ins, get picks with Artanis, and have Tyrael with follow-up slows. And red team probably, assuming Falstad goes, I don't know what he's going to go, but I'm assuming he should go Seasoned Marksman, especially on Tomb of the Spider Queen. But it's basically just trying to get picks on them since they have a hard time. Since red team has a hard time saving someone who gets picked by Artanis, let's say, or Gul'dan can have a good fear, or if Tyrael ends up going Judgment, he can single someone out, assuming that Lily's cleanse is down if she picks cleanse. So basically, just blue team has to try to not feed the other team a lot of stacks and a lot of damage. Because yeah, so if Falstad goes, I forget what it's called, Gathering Storm on his Hammerang quest, he could get a lot of stacks if blue team isn't playing safe. Blue team does have really good wave clear though. Both teams do for the most part. But I think that red team has the better late game comp and blue team has like a better mid game kind of just try to get picks and win through web weavers, I'd say. Because their team fight's a bit awkward too. It's not terrible, it's just awkward. Because Artanis doesn't really have anyone he can swap. Like if you swap like a Greymane into a Hanzo and a Gul'dan, what are they? They're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. So it's gonna be rough for Artanis too. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll be following Tyrael's perspective. Probably have it on camera lock. Can I not? Come on. There we go.
To my aid, heroes.
So Tyrael took Justice for All on one.
Remaining 10.
Oh, I forgot to turn off the announcer. That is loud. My bad. Okay, should be good. So he went Justice for All. I think that's just like generically the best talent on this tier, at least for Tyrael's rework, because going up from a 40% shield to 100% shield is a lot, considering that that's like 300 on level 1. It's 350 damage protected, or in terms of shields, it's 350 shields for everybody around him. That's crazy. Because also all allies, it's not just heroes, so that affects lane minions as well, and mercs and stuff. Salvation is not terrible, but it's just is so inferior to Justice for All. Because then it's sort of going into the, oh, it's all about Tyrael shields. So you don't really want that. And Ardent Restoration is theoretically insane. Like, I think this talent is crazy, but at the same time, it's just, I don't know. It's not. It's something where it's like it's only good if the enemy team has like corruption dots or like Lunar or something like that. And even then, why try to restore health from taking damage when you could just prevent the damage in the first place? So good level 1 talent choice, kind of standard. It seems like everyone's gonna go mid for the mid fight. So Tyrael's job for his team is to provide smites so that his team can run away easier, or to just really harass the Falstead and the Chromie, while also giving shields to his allies if he needs to, or if Greymane or Diablo or Falstead dive into his team, he needs to be ready with his Eldruin's might to jump in the back line. It's just kind of hovering. We don't know where they are yet. He is totally he made the right call checking the bush, because either he or Artanis needs to check the bush, and he's actually better qualified because he can just throw his sword out now after checking it. So we played that correctly. Artanis looking for a pick. And here they're just kind of skirmishing. I think that blue team, after not getting an Artanis swap, they should just go to lane so that they don't start feeding Chromie Q stacks. So right now, Tyrael is currently leaving the rest of his team, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I mean he is going off and soaking because he doesn't want to miss soak, but at the same time, he needs to make sure that his team is okay and actually can disengage. Just because him being there to give them his righteousness shield would have prevented like basically an entire Kharazim W that he now needs to do on a team. And also because Artanis decided, you know what, we're gonna keep fighting, and that was totally on him, that he shouldn't have gone for that swap. Even if they get this pick, Artanis is probably gonna die. So now Tyrael is not in a position to get over here fast enough in order to support his team. Even though he made the right call on actually going over to soak, he made the wrong overall call by not being with his team initially. Like, I know there's a point where the best way to convince your teammates of how to do something is to just leave, because then they have to disengage. You can do that, but in this scenario, I mean, you're not gonna, like, if no one's soaking top or bot on the red team as well, it's totally fine to not be soaking that. I mean, you want to, but if your team needs you, you should be with them. So, and then Falstead still had his dash up. So, unfortunately, now Artanis dies for really no reason. Come on, Grandman. Come on, Grandman. Well, I guess neither of them die, so that was a misplay on both teams' part. But I mean, blue team couldn't really do anything against the Falstead unless Gul'dan landed a really good corruption as he was barrel rolling, but they should have killed Artanis. So that was the fortunate outcome. And here, I don't think that red team will even miss that much of top soak. So like, so Tyrael, you going up there, all it really did, like, you did get that soak and you got a few minions over them, but you also potentially had Artanis die because he was still in the mindset of team fighting. Was looking for the flip. Kharazim was taking forever to dash out. That was a good shield. Go back top. Obviously, if this was a more coordinated team, you'd be wanting to do the 4-man rotations between top and mid, and have Artanis solo bot. He's already on the solo bot train, so that's fine. But ideally, you'd want to be having the whole team rotate, because Gul'dan has insanely good wave clear. Okay, so mid got pushed out a bit. No one's bot, so that's good for your team, for blue team. Looks like Chromie's gonna try to get a cheap shot on Artanis. So see here, ideally, if you would have noticed that your team was chasing. I want to go back and just make sure that I was seeing that correctly because he ran through mid, I believe. Yeah, so you saw your team chasing Greymane through basically like this middle area. You could have theoretically, I know your sword was down, but you could have used smite and then tried to speed over here and help out your team kill Greymane. You still might have not gotten the kill, but that also would have given Karazim something else to jump to so that he could maintain his punches for longer. Because here you're also not really supporting your team because you're in the I'm laning mentality, which ultimately is fine, but it'd be good if you were like ready to go with them. Oh, Arcanus just hit her. Oh my gosh, you're gonna miss that kill. Could have just auto attack. So now you're just pushing, it's fine. Alright, so on 4, I think here is where it's a bit of a toss-up. I think Divine Vigor is the worst one, and almost everybody goes Stalwart Angel because it's just good armor. Bound by Law can also be insanely good if you can actually stay on somebody and keep auto attacking them. Because the fact that you can have, what is it? It's a base 25% slow, so you can have a 35% slow for how long would that be? It's 6.5 seconds? That's ridiculous. That is just completely brutal. I mean, that's almost like a Blaze ult on them minus the damage. So I think that you should definitely get one of the Eldarin's Might choices on this tier, and that's fine. Just because Divine Vigor doesn't feel like it doesn't quite do like enough because Tyrael's. But like at that point, again, you're going for regen. Why not just prevent damage in the first place, or double down on trying to chase people? Because if you're slowing somebody for that much, then you're chasing them. You're not trying to keep them off of you. You're chasing them down. So you're not really worried about the damage that you're taking. And also, as you notice, running a bit low on mana, that's fine, but you want to make sure that when you're clearing waves, it's fine to do stuff like smiting them, but you also don't want to be dumping all of your abilities on the wave all the time, or like shield. Like see, there's no real reason for you to do that because you're kind of just spending the mana for your sword, and it's not doing enough damage to justify clearing the wave super fast, especially since Hanzo can just like Hanzo's already here. You don't need to like. There's no huge urgency to clear the wave quickly. I guess you want to try to deny the other team the soak, but I think they would miss it regardless because the damage done by Eldarin is so minimal. So you face checked as you saw them all disappear from mid. That's fine. Again, you're the tank. You have Eldarin. That was a really aggressive Eldarin just because there was no guarantee that like if you got stunned or CC chained out of that and you didn't have your smite go off properly, you could have just died there. That was a bit risky, and you're also running low on mana, so if you also like use an extra shield or something, you would just be almost out of mana, and if your team then decided, okay, we want to fight now, you would have no mana. Like right now, you have no mana to actually continue fighting. And I don't think you have enough mana to shield. Yeah, you don't have enough mana to shield. So now you can't give Karazim a shield, and because of spending too many resources on the waves earlier, you now didn't have the mana that you needed to save Karazim. And yes, you could argue, well, it was Karazim's fault for like being way out of position. But as the Tyrael, your job is to help people out by saving them or not, or making sure that you're sort of like my roommate described it as being the support tank. So you're kind of your purpose is to support your allies while still being a bruiser to some extent. Because you can give them shields, movement speed, and provide slows. Again, because you weren't over here, you didn't quite have the mana. You should have been over there to smite the ground to give Gul'dan move speed to run away, and also give him a shield, or just throw your sword in between Gul'dan and the Diablo, so that Diablo can't help but fling, or overpower you instead of Gul'dan. So there were many ways that you could have played that differently, and almost all of that was just because you didn't have the mana and you weren't in the like mindset because you were out of mana. You weren't in the mindset to help anybody else out. Fortunately, Artanis is just getting a ton of free push bot, and people don't seem to care about him for whatever reason. Kill the trap. Just harassing Falstead, that's fine. So realistically in this lane, there's not much. I mean, it's pretty difficult for you to, or I would say almost impossible for you to get a kill on Falstead, because as long as he has his barrel roll up and isn't a total idiot, you're not really gonna be able to get a kill on him, because he'll always be able to run away. So at most, the only thing you can do here is just to try to passively soak, or you can harass him, but you're probably not gonna get the kill. Unless, let's say, he was super low, he barrel rolled, and then you threw Eldrew in and, hit him, smited him, and all the, the works. So now the team is having a weird fight bot. It doesn't make any sense. Guess it's not that bad. Blue team really, really wants to try to stop red team from turning in. So the best thing that they could do right now is, because you have the most gems, so you want to turn in your gems as quickly as possible, especially since you know that 4 of them are bot and Garman's also dead, and you just scared off Falstead. You're totally free to turn in, so you want to turn in as quickly as you can, and then hopefully some other members of your team can follow up before red team's able to get turn in. Losing first turn in isn't like completely detrimental to your chances of winning or anything, but it definitely is very, very good lead to get on your opponent. So on 7, I think that the undebatably best one is Swift Retribution, because it acts as sort of like a mini Bloodlust, where you give people 45% move speed and 25% attack speed for 2 seconds. That's like ridiculous. That's insane chase potential and also insane disengage and just damage if you are going for attack speed for like an auto attacker. Purge Evil doesn't. It feels like, I mean, like it synergizes well with like full smite build, but it's kind of lame. I don't know. You don't want to be specking into just full self heal Tyrael when you could just be getting like a shield talent and an armor talent, and you'd be fine. So this talent is less good, and Reciprocate used to be the pick on Tyrael before the rework, and I think just the sheer benefit, like the power and benefits of Swift Retribution, makes it better than Reciprocate. So you still want to turn in at some point. If Falstead even tries to, you could just go turn in now, and even if he knows you're turning in, you could harass him. Like, you're not going to get that kill there, and all you're doing is wasting your mana. If you had an ult, or if Karazim went like Iron Fist maybe, you might have been able to get that kill, but it was unlikely. So Gramian presumably had to back. Yeah, okay, so he just got healed up. I wasn't checking to see how low he was getting, because I know he was really low down here. So red team has turn-in. Who has all their coins? Oh, it's Diablo. So yeah, Diablo has full turn-in by himself. So immediately, I don't think you're going to be able to get there to stop it, but you need to follow up on Hanzo, who's trying to stall. Now, Karazim here should move up towards top and get the soak top that you're missing by being down here, but it's totally fine to be down here and helping out the team if it means you get turned in. So good job recognizing that Chromie was caught out, and you got that kill. And that was, I think that was entirely because of the bound by law that you got, because it actually kept Chromie. I think that Hanzo connected the arrow. I'll just double check. Because your slow prevented Chromie from getting through the gate, which made it so that you couldn't dodge the Hanzo arrow here. Yeah, she got hit by that Hanzo arrow because of that slow. So now you just want to be pushing with the web weavers the best you can. That sword didn't really do much there, because you're not gonna be killing Falstead with that. But yeah, it's fine. So right now you should actually not be up here pushing with a solo Web Weaver because you don't have enough damage to threaten being with a Web Weaver all by yourself, like let's say a Zag would. If you know Zag or Sylvanas is pushing with a Web Weaver solo, it actually is kind of scary. You're way better off pushing with your team right now. Theoretically, Artanis should be too, but he's a bit more threatening because here you don't really have any way to. I mean, you can kind of harass Falstead, but once the Web Weaver gets up to the gate, you can't really do much to Falstead. I mean, you can now that he's low, but I still think that it'd be way better if you were with your team, because then you could give everybody shields, and that would be negating the chromie damage that they will most likely take as poke, and which they did take. So now, because of that, Gul'dan and Hanzo are too low to actually poke much, but of course, they get the kill on Greymane, so that's fine. Ult choice, I think, it's kind of whatever you want to do. I mean, usually Sanct is the better ult for if you're in like coordinated play or if you're at high level play, where if you know how to use it to negate certain instances of damage, like let's say Diablo Apox, and you're like, all right, team, I'm Sancting. We're gonna be what does he say? We're gonna remain steadfast or something like that. Sanctification would be really good in circumstances like that, but I think it's really playstyle dependent, and if you don't, it's kind of like cleanse. If you don't feel super comfortable using it, you shouldn't pick it because you're not going to get as much value out of it if you just took judgment. And judgment's also much easier with other pubbies because it's just you lighting up that person and flying straight towards them, and it's like a huge team. Let's go kill that person signal. And you can probably get the kill on Falstead here. He might just barrel roll away from you, but I believe you have your sword still, unless you just used it. Oh, but now you don't have that much mana. You still kill him because of the slow. Nice. So, even though you got the kill there, I still feel like it would have been better for you to be with your team.
We have done it.
If only so that you could get more value out of Justice for All, so that you could be preventing all this chromie poke damage that they're taking. Because I think that if Gul'dan and also if Charism hadn't have died and Gul'dan and Hanzo took less damage, you could have pushed this fort really easily and potentially gotten more kills because they didn't end up using their ults. Hanzo's build is very fascinating. So you know that they're going to be over on this camp. You can't really do much because your team is really split right now. Hanzo's not in any shape to be fighting. And it looks like your team just wants to dump their coins. So even though you know that they're going to be here and they're going to get this, you can't be here right now. You're going to die. I mean, you're Tyrael. You're not going to die because you're just going to, throw your sword and run away. But it's still really scary. So there, that judgment was a little bit uncalled for, just because neither of your main damage dealers are here. So you judgment them, and theoretically, Artanis could get in there and do some hits with the season marksman, and Charism could 7-sided, but there were other people there, so it's incredibly unlikely that you'll actually get anything out of that. And I was wrong. So clearly, I was totally wrong about that. I feel like you shouldn't have gotten that kill. Because was Falstead's barrel roll not up? Maybe I missed seeing if his barrel roll was on cooldown. Okay, it was. So he used it earlier. Surprised by that. All right, so I clearly am paying less attention than you are about this. So sorry about that. So that was fine. I feel like it's strange that you had enough damage. I think that if Lily used her ult, then he would have survived. But a lot of that was the combination of these slow from Bound by Law and just Eldurin in general, and the Purifier Beam. So again, here you're chasing really far, and now you see Falstad coming in behind you. And this is kind of this is just, you know, what you signed up for by being this far forward with Artanis. Because I think that you were thinking, oh, we got that Falstad kill, and we can keep pushing forward. But even though you got that earlier kill, you're still Artanis and Tyrael, and Artanis doesn't have Titan Killer yet, or the triple strike, so you really you're very damage light without ults. So, and then you also knew that the enemy team was hovering somewhere. You didn't know where, but presumably somewhere on this part of the map, because they would not want to be bought for any reason, and you're already pushed up really far on the map. So that was just incredibly risky. Like, you didn't need to be there. And then as a result, the two of you die, and you drop a decent number of gems. It's not like just detrimental to the team or anything, but it's a lot of gems. So on 13, I still think that Holy Ground is the best pick because it's Holy Ground. It's really good. And it's on level 13 now instead of 16. Sword of Justice seems like a really, I don't even know if I'd say niche. It just seems like a fun ability where you can teleport back and forth. And I mean, it's not bad. I don't know. It's not like terrible. It's just kind of whatever. I mean, I guess you get the benefit of Stalwart Angel, but it's still strange. I don't know. It's bizarre. And then Law and Order. I feel like the only time you take this is if you were going full smite build, and it's still inferior to Holy Ground. So Holy Ground is the pick. So now the downside of you and Artanis being super far up here and pushing away from the rest of the team is that now the team has no frontliners. Like, they have Kerosene, but he's not a frontliner. I mean, he's not like a tank. So then Gul'dan has to like panic, use Fear on Diablo to not die. Kerosene is super caught out. He should be able to make it out. So now, because you and Artanis were also dead during the Webweaver phase, you have a lot less potential of clearing the Webweavers before they do structure damage. So you're going to lose at least bot wall and potentially top wall. I'm always amazed by the kills that your team's getting, though. It's surprising. Like, I don't think you should. I don't think Blue Team should have gotten that kill on Falstad. So it's fine that you're harassing them. You're not gonna kill Diablo, so there's no reason for you to charge in on that. I know that he looks like, you know, oh, he's vulnerable or he's low. But you have no kill potential on that. And also doubling down and going back in on that, it's just, there's no reason to do that. I feel like that at that point it's just purely bloodthirst at that point. So you should have immediately disengaged. I mean, like, the only situation where you might have wanted to do that is if Kerosene was close enough to palm you, but A, he wasn't, and B, he didn't take palm, so you're just gonna die here. It would have been much better if you either, well, obviously just did disengage initially, or if you actually waited until Lily panicked and had to use her ult, and then you just charged Lily, and then maybe your team would have enough time, as red team was like, oh, what's going on, to catch up to you. So hopefully blue team should be able to kill green. Artanis didn't really feel like it. So now you also lost all of bot and all of top because of the like mid skirmishes. That wasn't like entirely your fault or anything. It's just, it was a combination of being dead when the Webweaver spawned, so that you couldn't just roam as 5 or like do a 4-1 kind of split and have one person clearing while everyone else goes and clears the other two. Because of that, you couldn't clear the waves efficiently, so now you lost 2 forts that you probably only had to lose 1 or potentially 0.
We should take this mercenary camp.
Not sure what Hanzo's doing. I guess he's pushing up the wave, but that's like not efficient for him because he didn't go redemption, so it doesn't make that much sense. And he's probably just gonna get caught out here. Yeah, he's dead. I don't know why he did that. Gul'dan has to spend Horrify just to scare him. Alright, I guess he's gonna get scared off. And red team gets their next turn in. Which is not super good. Now here I think you're also again trying to like stall turn in by yourself, but since there are 4 of them there, I mean, but you're probably gonna get out. But it's still scary because Diablo has the % max health charge. Fortunately, Greyman wasn't immediately there to punish you for it. But that was really risky. That was a circumstance where you just have to give it and say, you know what, we can't get this anymore. Halstead's looking for a really aggressive barrel roll into Gust, so you need to watch for that. Your damage dealers should really be helping you defend Maki. Once again, Artanis is swapping, but you don't have that much follow-up damage. Just because you have like those old combos, and Chromie's really squishy, you could get that kill, but I mean, you could probably wipe them if your damage dealers were here. Falstead trying to make plays. Interesting. And then on 16, I think that the pick that everyone's been taking is Heraldric Reforging. It's just super strong in general. Burning Halo is certainly, I want to say, like a wave clear option, but if you're at level 16, I mean, I would hope that you'd have had wave clear already, and if you didn't in your draft or in your comp, you probably are in a really bad position if you don't have that much wave clear that you need to take this for the wave clear. But I feel like the damage is minimal enough that, because Tyrael himself is not the person who's wanting to do the damage. I mean, you can build him to be a high damage character, but it takes away all of his, or almost all of his actual utility. And Smite the Wicked, again, is for Smite build, so I think Heraldric Reforging is the pick here, unless for whatever reason the Tyrael player wants to go with Burning Halo. That was funny. That was a good holy ground. So here you're backing out, and you really shouldn't be backing out right here, because you're gonna have you already have your Elderman's Might cooldown back, because you could just auto attack the minions and go back in. So now you have a bit of space between you and the enemy team. So then, in order to move back up, you're gonna have to eat like 2 or 3 extra auto attacks from Falstead, and because of that, because he has Giant Killer, you're gonna take a lot more damage as basically as like a punishment for being further away from the fight. Because now you're not in a position to, like, let's say, throw a holy ground down and be like, ha, wow, I cannot words right now. You're not in a position where red team can like get really messed up by being zoned by holy ground. And you also are doing that thing where you're like, all right, I need to back. Oh wait, but the team's fighting, so I should be here. You need to try your best. It's hard to, but you need to try your best to fully commit to engaging with your team, or backing off and saying, all right, I'm out of the fight. Because even if you can get something done by going back in, I feel like if you made a more distinct decision, you would have gotten more done. Burning rage damage, though. Hanzo's dead here. Someone grab that gem, please, please. So now you can just totally have Diablo with a holy ground. Yeah, so you should just die here.
Enough of you.
Now you get to turn in and can hopefully, potentially push to win off of this. It's unlikely, but I mean, it looks like you'll get the. Oh, okay. That was close. Potentially, you could just push through mid or bot, or really top. I mean, preferably top, but there's a wall top, so it's less likely that you'll get top keep, because top lane is the boss lane. So ideally, you'd want to push out top as much as possible, and then maybe like while they were licking their wounds from all the web weavers, you could just run over to boss, get boss, and then win the game. Horrify. Oh, Greymane is going for the flank. Unfortunately, you're because of that teleport. I mean, he timed that really well. There's not much you can really do about that other than acknowledge that Greymane is mysteriously missing. But you've used your sword now, you can't actually get over to him. The best thing you could do is potentially use Smite and try to smite Gul'dan to give him move speed, but he's most likely dead here, unless they can just kill him. Whoa! Oh, I forgot about his health stone. Okay, so he's actually gonna survive. I totally forgot about the health stone. So now your team is doing the right thing, collapsing immediately on Greymane. And see, this is another reason why I feel like Heraldic Reforging, even though it doesn't do more damage necessarily, I feel like it's better because you could have auto attacked the red team a bit after taking your sword and then immediately throw another one back and go help defend Gul'dan. Because then you could have gone back, been there with Gul'dan and given him a shield in the event that Greymane had like a ton of burst damage from like if he had Wizened Duelist almost done or something. I don't know. If he just was able to just explode Gul'dan, then he would have been there faster to help him out. Also, like, so let's say if Chromie landed a good WQ or just one of those two on Gul'dan as he was getting doped by Greymane, he could have just popped. So that was a very real possibility. Trying to go for the busted kill, but didn't quite get it. So now your team is like, your team's kind of hovering for not that much of a reason. You should just move immediately to top and try to contest over top keep. Because even though you can try to get this, you don't have a minion wave, so that means somebody's going to be taking it. It's probably going to be you. And your team doesn't have super good, just straight up sustained damage for buildings. Also, Kharazim's diving super hard for no reason, really. I mean, he's going to die because he doesn't have enough mana to 7-sided. So that's not on you. You can't do anything about that. That was a really good corruption, though. He's going to survive from Lily. But and here, even though, again, she's super low, I think, I don't know if you were using that to try to disengage, or if you were doing it because she was super low and you want to kill her. But, okay, clearly didn't want to kill her. So, because you did that, you missed the Falstead kill, and you didn't really stop much of any like damage that Chromie would have thrown out if you were trying to disengage with that. So that wasn't really necessary. That was a good Falstead. I mean, that was a good Hanzo pick on Falstead. So I'm glad that worked out.
I'm going to pull back for now.
And you get bot. Cool. So your team doesn't have enough for turn in. Should still immediately turn in though, and just try to get a few picks on red team so that you can end through bot.
We should take this mercenary.
Alternately, you could go for boss, but actually, yeah, I don't know why I'm saying that you should still look for picks and try to end through bot, but boss is a totally valid way to try to end the game too.
Our ally needs help.
It's just really awkward because blue team doesn't have that much sustained damage. I mean, they have Gul'dan, but they don't have like an auto attacker like Hanzo or something. I mean, because Hanzo is this. I guess he's okay damage with flawless technique, but it's still a bit awkward. Alright, so there you should have immediately done like a holy ground either here, but like before they started coming in. I know you didn't see them, but it's just still fine for you to just drop that here and then dash out with your movement speed, because now that gave Diablo room to hit you against a wall and do a bunch of damage. And even though, okay, that's going to be a good holy ground, but even though you didn't get massively punished for it or anything, that could have opened up red team to like trying to get some big pick on your team before you went to go defend to try to get boss. Alright, so that was kind of on Hanzo for being so far away from your team. But again, so much of that was because you got set up by the APOC into Gust combo. And if you had either put down a holy ground here or had just, yeah, it's basically that holy ground somewhere before, like anticipating the Diablo or anticipating somebody rather than I mean, heck, it could have even been here if someone was like waiting here. You could have just thrown the holy. You could have thrown the sword there. That's. I mean, that's pretty extreme. But just saying, like putting it somewhere. Oh, I should also mention, obviously, Heradic Reforging is really cool too because it gives you more holy ground uptime. But it's again kind of playstyle dependent. So now you're gonna die here too, unfortunately, and I think actually all of the blue team should wipe here because now there's no way to help out Gul'dan. Okay, Artanis is gonna get out. So that wasn't like all on the, or it wasn't all on you for not holy grounding, but that would have helped out a lot. I mean, obviously Karasim should have been there, and he wasn't, so that was on him, but it would have helped.
We should take this mercenary camp.
You still get top, so I mean, the boss is still fine. It's just that now because three people on blue team died, you can't just end with that. So it's not that terrible, but it's also really scary because that's narrowing the level lead that blue team has on red team. And now red team has all the gems to turn in. They should have sent. How evenly are they
Pursuit
split?
of justice is unending.
Because red team should have been started moving over. It should have left one person to clear bot, which looks like they did for Greymane, but they should have all moved over to turn in and tried to get a turn in. Because they also wanted to try to pick a fight before level 20, but it looks like blue team's going to get that level 20 before they do. And before they can get a fight. This is really scary. I don't know why Hanzo's this far forward. She went for Angel of Justice. If you get Judgment, Angel of Justice is just bonkers. But Defense of the Angels is certainly a good talent. And also Seal of Eldraine is super good too, but that's where the whole Heradic Reforging thing is really strong. Is how it synergizes with that. But you don't need to get that. I think that the upgrade to Judgment is amazing. Yeah, look at that range. Oh my god. So I think you're trying to get over to Greymane to try to stop him from flanking. And I don't know why Gul'dan's following you. Or maybe you're getting like a flank on Greymane himself, but it just seems like you're not with the team. Not really any strong reason.
You've been found wanting.
Excellent.
Ooh, nice. Nice stun. Swap. That was just you stunning Falstead for basically being way far forward when he shouldn't have been. That's going to be the game. So I think that the major takeaways from this game were that your talent build was good. Oh, yeah, hang on, I need to. It's not going to let me look at the talents. Oh wait, no, I forgot about that. Can't do it that way. So let's just glance at. Why can't I look at the talents?
Meet your
Fine. So I think that your talent choices were fine, except for just Burning Halo. I think it's certainly not a bad talent. It's just I think that Heradic Reforging gets you more of what you want on Tyrael, which is Holy Ground. It's not like Tyrael is a Holy Ground bot, but he definitely it's an insane talent. And then all I think the Angel of Justice is probably the best pick just because it's amazing. But just having a 30-second ult like that is insane. But Seal of Eldraine is also really good, and I know some people really like Defense of the Angels. Some circumstances. It's really good against characters like Lunar or Gul'dan or Ziva who have lots of small ticks of damage, or like even Li Ming Laser. It's just insane against those. So Yeah, so okay, so the overall takeaways would probably be I think that you need to not be spending as you need to not be using as many abilities to clear waves in the early game because you run out of mana really quickly, and you want to hold on to that mana for if, let's say, someone else rotates up to you to help gank, or you want to try to get a pick on somebody, or you end up needing that mana at some point, like how you didn't have mana to shield somebody. That's really significant. That's just because you threw out one extra Q in lane. So it's really important to watch your mana. Usually I try to make it a rule to have enough mana for like one set of ability rotations. So like let's say if I'm playing Garrosh or something, even though it's kind of hard to run out of mana on Garrosh, I try to make sure actually no, I should say Artanis. On Artanis, I always make sure that before I even think about swapping somebody that I have at least 135 mana because his swap combo, the Q and E is 135 mana. And it's like you see all these Artanises that will, or Artani or whatever, will dash forward and then just go backwards and be like, oh, I don't have enough mana. So it's really important to watch your mana, and also just positioning, making sure that you're giving people enough shields. You had very, very low healing or shielding. I know it's like you don't want to just look for stats, but you were a lot of times using the shield just for yourself as you were diving or stuff like that, and you weren't trying to mitigate any chromie poke damage. And if you were doing that, that would have made Karazim's job a lot easier because he has a hard time dealing with like intense burst damage from chromie. So yeah, mana in lane and making sure that you're shielding poke damage to alleviate some of the stress on your healer. And also looking to just use holy ground really often, even just to zone control nothing, even if no one's there, or even if you don't know someone's there, it still can be good to just zone control and say, I want to make sure that we're going to cap this camp, so I'm just going to holy ground the center of it just to make sure. So, anyways, thank you for submitting your replay, Mr. Tyrael, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video, or hopefully on my stream. Take care.